How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Continues to Tick. Here we are, now in the week that will cross the midway point of April, which is wild to imagine. And if you're anything like me, once you get to the midway point of most things, you start to eye the tipping point, the point where you're closer to the end than the beginning, which the end of April will soon be. As I've said though, I don't necessarily mind time passing as fast as it does, mainly because 2020 was such a bad year, and I'm low-key already looking forward to Labor Day weekend, which will be my second and last scheduled time off for this year. And although maybe I front-loaded a bit in terms of my time off, it'll again be a nice change of pace, or again a nice taste of retirement, as I'll be off for the week. But I don't mean to get too far ahead of myself. I just got back from vacation after all, 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, and honestly I'm barely finding my groove again, after being off work for 2 weeks. I will say though, the one aspect that saddens me a bit, in terms of time ticking by and getting older, no matter how I slice it, no matter how much closer this may mean to meeting my financial goals, or simply my overall goals in life in general, is that with each passing month, or shall I even break it down to just days, the closer it is for my parents to reach the end of their lifespan on this earth, and potentially when I reach my goals, they may not even be around to see them. You see, as you get older, as a son or daughter, no matter, you start to realize that your parents will one day no longer be here with you, the one constant in your life until that point, and the primary reason, if you and them are lucky, is just simply due to age, simply due to time, as the human body is just not built, unfortunately, to live forever. So if you still happen to be close with your parents, or have them in your life, take care of them, appreciate them, spend time around them, because if they're lucky, and you're lucky also, you'll see them live to an old age, and eventually it'll only be time as their greatest weakness. I know I always tend to gravitate towards the dark side when I discuss time, but time itself is a conundrum, right? And a specific beauty indeed. It manages to be merciless and blissful at the same time. And at the moment, as you all know, I've been trying to use it to my advantage, trying to utilize it as best that I can, capturing the warmth from that fire, if you will, especially in terms of this dividend portfolio. Now, although we didn't cross the $23,000 mark this week, because that'd be insane, right? And you'd be like, Jesse, at that pace, are you sure you aren't investing for growth? But no, progress was still made, and we got a nice dividend payout, and most importantly, a great snowball action to show for the continual compounding that is occurring right before us. Like I've said in my previous video, it took some time to get here, since July 20th, 2020 to be exact. But we are beginning to see the compounding and the benefit of the drip taking place now, as it feels like every week we are seeing a steady snowball, and we are starting to reinvest money that technically wasn't mine to begin with. For those that saw my previous video, you know I started a new mini-series that I will be parting into each of these next few weekly uploads, the Dividend Investing Foundations, where I will discuss many thinking points that I think are pertinent when it comes to investing, but specifically for dividend investors, things that I myself have greatly thought about in detail, and still do. Investing for dividends is such a long, drawn-out process. It's hard to see results right away. But because of that, we have to consistently try to not be discouraged, as it may be easy to fall or direct off path, and in the process, not set a solid foundation. Therefore, I started this mini-series where I will discuss what I believe to be the key thinking points for setting a rock-solid investing foundation. Mainly things to consider, as to not expect any surprises down the road, and end up in the lane of inability for do-overs. And as we said, time in life can be merciless, and the last place you want to be is stuck, unable to back up, back out, or re-navigate. Last week we talked about mindset, and this week I'll dive into what I think is next in line of importance: career. So bottom line is, you can't invest without money, right? So sure, you can imagine what came first, the dividend portfolio or the funds. Not quite as equal as the saying, what came first, the chicken or the egg, but hopefully you can get the gist. Investing for dividends is such a long game. Therefore, you will be expected to consistently keep investing for a long duration of time. And as consistency leads to progress, and progress leads to results, as we talked about in one of my previous videos, you have to find the means to keep the momentum alive. This means you must be able to provide funds to a portfolio over the long haul. That may include years and decades. Maybe you even happen to be a workaholic with a longer time horizon. Or maybe you decide to invest less at a time. And because of this, you're willing to go extra miles to reach your goals to make up for this. My point being, the best way to ensure you have income to funnel into a dividend portfolio over time is by setting yourself up for success with a solid and initial stream of income, one that you can depend on, one that you know for a fact that if you work and exchange your time for, will give and bring you money in return. And the best way to ensure this is by having a nice solid career. A career can be anything you determine it to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be a white-collar job or a job you went to school for. You'd be surprised what hard work and consistency does for a person without a degree, let alone someone who doesn't even speak the native language. My parents showed me this example as I grew up. However, this example is not for everyone, and indeed a lot of hard work, maybe even back-breaking work, but it can be done, as college doesn't have to be for everyone. As for me, I decided to direct path into college, get a nursing degree, and become a registered nurse as my career choice. It's what allows me to invest $500 every week, and if I had to recommend a great overall career, nursing would be it. The amount of education needed for the monetary return, or lifestyle, is guaranteed to hand you a pass into the middle class, at least from my experience so far. But in the end, you don't have to love it, your job that is, because the honeymoon stage ends quickly. I enjoyed becoming a nurse, I still enjoy being a nurse, but now that I've been a nurse for about 2 years, it's about as equal to satisfaction most of the time as when I was 16 years old working at a local aquatic park, running the concession stands and selling tickets, or working at Aeropostale in the mall. Yes, I worked at Aero, and selling clothes. It's oftentimes all the same at the end of the day. It's a job. But most jobs can become a career. Just stick with it. Utilize consistency. A career is a crucial step in the foundation to growing a dividend portfolio. It allows you the ability to funnel in the money that is needed. And without it, you may not be able to obtain the portfolio you envision, let alone begin the goal of investing in the first place, or investing more than you'd like to, or as consistently as you'd like. The income a career provides is the water supply that helps hydrate your apple tree. You need this steady stream of initial income to keep you investing, to keep your dividend portfolio alive, growing and compounding. A tree can survive a weekly watering, maybe even a monthly watering. But how often does a tree survive without regular watering? Well, I'd imagine not long. And with that said, let's go ahead and move into the portfolio review for this week. So here we are in the Jesse's cash flow portfolio, currently sitting at $22,810. So definitely some noticeable progress compared to last week. I continue to systematically invest $500 into this portfolio every single week, and I have been doing that since the beginning of time of this portfolio. And if you look at this all-time trend here, that's a pretty good sight to see, starting at the bottom and progressively, systematically over time, seeing an incline. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And even though a lot of this trend is just basically from me continually depositing money, there's a lot of growth here. And this week was actually the first time we crossed the 3K gain mark, which is pretty neat to see. But just to recap, here we are in the all-time chart with a total return of 32.48%. This might be the biggest return in terms of percentage that we've seen so far in the portfolio. And it would make sense. I know the portfolio itself is getting bigger in terms of the money that's in it. So sure, naturally, with percentage gain, you'll see a bigger gain. You'll see a bigger gain in monetary value. But regardless, this is the first time that we've crossed this mark. And it does excite me because like I've mentioned it in my other videos, a dividend portfolio is all about the dividend payout. That's what you're after. It really doesn't matter if the market fluctuates. It really shouldn't matter if we see the Red Sea, as long as at the end of the day, the companies that you're holding are still paying you dividends. So seeing a gain like this is a cherry on top. It's a cherry on top to that sundae. But taking this 3K mark here, 275 of it is from earned dividends, according to M1 Finance here, and 2,870 is from market gain. And if we take a look here at the past week, it was a pretty good week, 1.27%. It's not a flat week, it's a little bit of an incline week. Overall, a positive week, and I will take it every time. As far as the past month, just to see, we're up 5.64%, a total gain of $1,160. So the past month, it's been good for us. So no complaints. And if we scroll down, we can see that green lawn. Oh wait, never mind. Energy is actually red. But this was for the past month, so let's go all time. I'm sure we'll see a green lawn. And we will, and we do. And like I've said before, if you're curious to seeing exactly what I'm holding, just because I normally don't point it out in my videos, just like M1 Finance does, it makes it really easy to do. There'll be a link in the description box to sharing my pie, where you can go ahead and click on any of these sectors that I have divided up. You know, like tech, for example. You look in that sector and you can see everything that I'm holding. So you can do that for every single sector here. So check that out if you're curious. And moving into the activity section for this week, there wasn't too much action, but the action that we did have, it's something to be happy about. As you can see here, again, we had our weekly deposit on April 7th. of $500, just like we always do. And we funneled that money into the portfolio here. We had 43 buys into the portfolio, and we had a $14.86 snowball. Snow is snow, but when it's this big compared to last week and maybe even the week before, but snow is snow, and this is the biggest snowball we've had in a while. Not the biggest one all time, but I will take it every single time. And it's just a picture of hopefully what's to come in the future. Just continually and gradually over time, getting a bigger and bigger snowball every single week, maybe every single month, or hopefully at the least year after year. We'll see some progression on that front. But I'm learning about dividend investing as you are. I just happen to be documenting it as I started it and as I continue to progress through it. So just as I'm learning, hopefully you can learn something from this as well. At the end of the day, I like to think that time has to be utilized, and that's the key to dividend investing. But I guess even before that is just to begin. So if you're on the cusp of beginning a dividend portfolio, you should definitely give it a try, especially if you have time on your side. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter how much you're investing, as long as you start and as long as you consistently invest, and just let time do the rest. But with that little side tangent out the way, here we are on April 8th, and this was our only dividend payout from this week, which was Omnicom Group, $2.19. A lot better than 8 pennies, which was my very first dividend payout from Apple. So that's going to be it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I know I normally don't say it, but if you made it to this point of the video, do please hit the like button, and do consider subscribing if you haven't already. We crossed the 200 subs mark recently, and the journey so far has been fun, and we're just getting started with a lot to look forward to. And like I continually say, the journey of this dividend portfolio, the journey of this YouTube channel, it won't be stopping anytime soon. So I hope you guys have a good upcoming week, and I can't wait to see you guys on next week's video where I jump into part 3 of the Dividend Investing Foundations. And I'm excited to talk about that one. That one's going to be a good one. So I can't wait to bring that to you. But until next week, take care, as always, and I will see you then. Peace.